So I'm going to do a quick people drawing tutorial. Please subscribe, and that'll help the channel grow, and I can show more tutorials. Okay, so I'm going to be looking at this image today. Quick comment I had is, well, I got this off Pinterest, but they used to have a visit original image or visit site button, and I cannot find that anywhere. I looked at image after image after image and just could not find a way to visit. So if you know how to go to the original image, please let me know, because I'd love to actually point people to that. Sorry, but I can at least include a link to the Pinterest post in the description. Okay, so this is the pose we're working on. In poses like this where they're sitting, I like to just start with the chair. Not even like a crazy detailed chair. Like, you can just use something like that, but it gives us a foundational thing. We see there's 4 legs on this thing. Again, those don't need to be perfect either. I see one's kind of coming down right here, one's kind of coming down over here, another one kind of right there, one right there. And as far as I'm concerned, that is sufficient for the chair, because we're more interested in the pose at this point. Okay, so I'm going to switch to a slightly more brown. Now, I always start with the triangles and the circle and the triangle. Now, because she's sitting, I want to try and capture that first. Her pelvis is slightly tilted like this, so we're going to go ahead and make our triangle like this. That gives us position. Now, her stomach and midsection are kind of right there. These don't have to be perfect as long as they get things in the right spot roughly, and I can see the upper triangle about like that. So go up about right here and back down like that, and you'll see it. These don't need to be perfectly lined up. Like, a lot of the time you might want to line them up like this. No, as long as they're generally in the right place, that'll be enough. Okay, so these arms are coming down. The ball for the shoulder kind of just hangs down, and this one is hanging down more like that. Okay, now let's get the legs in next. So as if you watched other tutorials, you'll see we cut this here, and if not, we cut this here off that ball. So down like that, down like that. That gives us roughly this space right here for our leg. So I can see that this one is kind of coming up like this, and then another ball for the knee. Let's connect that other side of that right there. So we've got both spots like that. Now, this is kind of sitting in front. That makes it a little hard to see, but we're going to do our best anyways. I know that the line's coming down from here and right here. Another ball for the ankle, and this is sitting something akin to that. Okay. I know it still looks funny, but we'll keep going. Now, the reason this looks short is because her leg is actually coming forward in space and then over. So we know that. I'm actually going to start with the ball for the knee and make it a little bit bigger. Then I'm going to bring this to here and this to there. I'm going to make that kind of tear shape where I kind of roll off that ball right there. Put a ball for that ankle. And then this foot is kind of doing something like this. Now we need to start building out the rest of that. Before we get to the arms, we know that she's got some lat muscles back there. I suspect that she seems like a fairly thin person, so let's not go crazy like doing big lat muscles like that. Instead, let's just kind of gently come down like this. In fact, this triangle here might be too thick. So we have a couple options. We can either erase it and redo it, which I think I'm going to go ahead and do, or we just adjust it as we go. But we're going to go ahead and erase it and redo it a little bit more like that, I think. Yep, that feels better. See the knees right here and the shoulders right there. Knees right here, shoulders right there. Before they were lined up a little different here. We got the shoulder coming down to about mid thigh, which is what we've got now. Okay. Even though we're going for a quick and easy system, we still gotta pay attention to our measurements. So this shoulder actually is probably hanging more like this. Off one side of that ball, off the other one. We can see her elbows coming just a little bit past that knee, so we'll do that as well. And then we're going to come roll back across off that ball, like this. About right there. I'm just going to do a very simple kind of this shape for the hand right now. Nope, forgot to put that lat in. It's going to be somewhere like that. She's got the shirt on, and so we're not going to see it super well. And like this, kind of just bring that down. I know her elbow's about right there at the top of that ball. Our ball here is clearly too big. They don't line up. So we know the wrist is all the way up here. So if the wrist is up here, then her fingers are kind of touching the ball here, that means I would actually need a smaller ball, about that size. Let's go ahead and erase some of that, just so that we don't get extra confused. So that would make this our ball now. Hand about there, fingers about there. Okay, so if that's the case, I know that her elbow needs to be somewhere in this region around where her fingers are. So we'll just put it right there. From there, her hand goes down to her legs. We got another ball there. I'm going to do it like that. I think the leg I've got for her is a little more tilted than hers is. So we can either fix it or we can just kind of keep it as is. We're not going for perfect recreation. We're going for an inspiration based on the photo reference. Put it head in here. Sometimes what I'll do before I put the head in is I'll draw a line down the middle of the body so I get a rough idea where that head needs to be. From here I can see her neck muscles are kind of going up like this. Okay, so we've got the basic part of the figure in. Put the rest of that lat in. How do we connect the top to the bottom? I do that by coming off the top of this ball here, touching that gently there, coming off the bottom, touching gently there. Now I've got that there, kind of a torso that is working. Okay, so from here, I actually lower the opacity on this layer, and I am largely just going to come around my outline. Now, we're not going to get too crazy with details at the moment because I don't want people to get lost in details. We just want to see what we can do. Okay, so turn that down just a little bit. So that is too much. So we know her face is kind of in here. I like to start the face. I think most people probably do. Put her neck in roughly the way it is. I might thin it up a little bit for stylization. And then her hair is kind of covering it as well, which makes it a little hard to see. I know her shirt line is kind of coming down like this. Now we've got the basic shape of the body, so let's come over here, follow it down. You can see she's got a sleeve roughly here. You can see our arm is actually lower than hers. It's still too high. If we wanted to do that, we could lower this to about right there. And keep going. Now some of you might get confused if that body piece doesn't match. So let's lower everything. About right there. Okay. Let's keep going. I can see from, let's erase that. I can see from the photo that a lot of her arm, this part of the arm, is hidden behind this part of the arm. So To do that, we're just going to draw this part first. Like that. Now we want to keep this simple, so rather than going detailed for the hands, do a line for finger like that, like that, like that, like that. We'll probably have another day where we dig into anatomy more, but today I just want to focus on keeping this simple. Okay, so this sleeve, probably a little like that. Okay, let's get these pants in a little bit. This cuff here is a fairly big shape, so I'm just going to draw that in. Again, not perfectly, just kind of suggesting where it's at. There's a fold there, kind of something like this. And I can see the leg. It's kind of doing that. Now, follow this around to her bottom, about right there. She does have her socks and shoes. She's showing a lot more kind of lower leg and ankle there than I have space for. So I can either elongate or I can adjust. This time I'm just going to adjust. And probably point the foot down a little bit like that, keeping it simple. Her pants come across like this. And her, what is that, seam kind of goes that way. See some gentle folding going that way. So let's continue. And there's a little bunching there. So let's create a little bit of a V like that and capture some of that bunching. Bring it down like this. There's another cuff. And then this kind of comes up like that. This shoulder is up a little bit. And then the arm kind of comes in a little bit, or a little more than I have it. The elbow I know is about right there. And if your shapes aren't perfect, like they don't look like an elbow or stuff, don't worry about that too much. What we're trying to do at the moment is capture the essence of the pose. Just get as much of it as you can. Again, very simple fingers like I did that one. I can tell that I can see 3 of them here, so I'm just going to do 3 like that. They don't have to be perfect. If that one's a little big, I'm just going to go like that. Okay. And then that shirt actually for her is kind of coming like that. Now, one of the key things wrong with my figure is it looks too masculine. It's too, the whole thing is too wide this way. Thankfully, we have the benefit of working digitally at the moment. If you are working traditionally, you might have to erase this a little bit. I'm just going to kind of squeeze that in a little bit. Maybe shrink it this way just a little bit. That brings our figure down just a bit. Okay. She's not really, her chest is not super visible, so we are not going to push that. We don't need to push what already isn't there. Instead, let's put some eyebrows in. One of the things I like to, that I was taught when I'm drawing, is don't draw what you think you see. Draw what you actually see. So, what I actually am seeing is a woman looking on a chair wearing a baggy shirt. That's what I'm going to draw. One of the things that people worry about is getting their proportions off or overemphasizing certain parts of the body. That tends to happen when you draw what you think you see, rather than drawing what you actually see. If I really want to emphasize her chest a little bit, I can just do a little something like this. Maybe a little something like that. And that just gives a little bit of indication that there's something there without drawing attention to it. And I personally don't like to draw really large breasts because then it draws the attention to them. And I want to draw attention to the whole character. That chin got a little too squashed for me, the whole face did. Face is a little more round than that. Okay, we can't really see her ears. I'm just going to put some very simple eyes in here. So I'm not going for realistic. Very simple nose. Not exactly trying to make it look like her, just trying to get that essence in. Very simple mouth. I can see a little bit of her hairline coming about like that. Let's get some of that in. Her hair actually comes down quite a bit. You see, here's another thing where our proportions are elongated. Her collarbone's right there, then her wrist's like there. Our collarbone, or my collarbone's way up there, and her wrist is down there. That means my character has a longer torso and is sitting up straighter. So I'm not going to bring that hair down as far. It can still rest on the shoulder a bit like that. But I don't want to pull it all the way down here. She's going to have some really long hair. Her hair's kind of doing this fun little swoopy thing. So let's capture some of that. You'll notice in this shape, her hair's kind of going up like this and then down like that. You can't really see behind that big shape right there. We just kind of come down like that and back out the other side of it because it's sticking up. And their hair kind of poofs out that way a bit. Gets really dark back in there. And her hair does come down a little further here. Give this a little bit more feminine, we could just add a little bit of some eyelash shape there. I think we still see too much of the side of her face. And I'm just going to quickly fill in some of this hair. Okay, that is a very quick way to kind of capture that pose and generate a simple drawing. If you want to take it a step further, again, working digitally, I can make a layer here on the side and put it between my lines in that stool, and then I can grab like a little bit of gray or something and start filling in some of this, and that'll help add a little bit of separation. Oh, we forgot her other foot. Oh, let's take care of that real quick. See, it kind of comes down like this. Keep the shoe simple. Something like that. And this one's kind of slanted a little more. We can elongate it if we want to see a little bit more of it, so that they feel more similar in size, but the direction of the foot's going to matter. So back to this one. Just grab kind of one of those paintbrushes, a little bit of gray, filling in some of that so we don't see as much of that. And then you can just kind of go in and add some emphasis in places where you feel that you need it. And that is a very simple and basic tutorial on how to take a photo reference from Pinterest and do a quick drawing based off of it.